there, hope this video finds everybody good and healthy. We're going to do a little video out in the field today. As springtime's here, everybody's fertilizing, seeding, all that good stuff. Now's a good time to think about rotational grazing and setting up those systems in your pastures if you haven't before. There's a lot of benefits to rotational grazing. As you can see behind me, this is one big field that we're going to split into two. There's a lot of different options for doing this. Some people will put in like permanent electric fence with high tensile wire or different things like that. It's really easy to do a temporary fence as well. So what we have here today are some just regular step-in posts and poly wire tape. You don't have to use either of those items. There's plenty of different materials out there. The poly wire is nice because it's easily visible. A lot of times people with horses like this because they can see it a lot easier than normal. And it's got several strands of wire through it, so you get a good electric current through that as well. It's a lot easier to train animals to that because they can see it. They'll come up, they'll touch their nose on it, and they'll learn it that way. Over here, unfortunately, electric fence isn't just as simple as plugging in a box. So this is a solar charger. They say these usually last about 5 years. You can replace the batteries inside of them. You want that on the south-facing direction, if you can hang it on a fence towards the south to get the most sunlight. As you come in closer, these are just some regular handles, so this will carry the current through that metal part through the other side. So it's fairly simple to put one of these in, but if you haven't done it before, you may not know where to start. So on this charger right here, there's two buttons. So I'm gonna undo this top one. It's as simple as wrapping a piece of wire around this and getting a good connection on that screw there. So that's going to be your hot wire. That's the one you're going to run down. You can follow my finger here. So once you have your hot wire attached, which is that line going down to the fence itself, so you can see where those two are connected there. I've made a gate here just by connecting those handles for ease of use. So if you come up here and you want to drive through the fence with any piece of equipment, you can unhook it without having to turn off the whole system, and you won't get shocked in doing that. The other key part to hooking up this fence charger is the ground wire. So that's the green one. It's installed the same way with the wire underneath that button there, and that is run down to this ground rod. So it's really important to get the ground rod in the ground as deep as you can. That is in about 4 feet with just a little bit sticking out. I'm going to zoom in there so you can see the wire just goes in the front, so that screw is pushing in there, and then there's the clamp to hold that around the actual ground rod itself. Once you have that box installed and you've got your lines run, you should be set to go. They'll probably add a second line to this underneath of it just to keep the animals out so they don't try to sneak underneath of it or anything like that. The whole purpose of rotationally grazing is to be able to move them from side to side. So if we turn calves out on this, there's a good chance they're going to graze all of this down at once, and they're going to pick their certain spots that they like better and then graze those heavy. But what happens if we overgraze an area? It's going to get eaten down too low, the grass isn't going to grow back as quick, and you're likely going to have more weeds come in there. If you rotate them, they're not going to eat it down as low. So we recommend moving them after they graze it to 3 inches. Once they get it down that low, take them off the field, let it get a break. If there's more leaf material there, it's going to grow back in 3 times as fast as if they would have grazed it down lower than 3 inches. So it really does a lot for the plant health, and it's going to produce more tonnage of forage for you to graze cattle on. So it's a pretty smart decision to do it either way you look at it. Another key component to keep in mind when you're setting up rotational grazing systems is your water source. For this situation, we're fencing off a hay field and then going to graze the other side of this fence, so water's only necessary on one side. In a typical system, you're going to need to have a water somewhere close in between that fence so calves can reach it from either side, or any animal that you're grazing in here.